Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Wedding Lens Lounge podcast. I am really excited to have an amazing guest on today's episode. His name is Joe, and he is a guru and expert in the world of SEO. If you have no idea what SEO is, you are going to learn today. Yeah, Joe, why don't you just introduce yourself and let people know a little bit more about who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Joe. I run a company. It's called SEO by Joe, where I manage full-scale SEO for wedding creatives, primarily photographers, but do have a couple other types of clients. I also have some education materials, got a beginning to SEO course that just came out, and also have a session blog writing cheat sheets that's available. But got into SEO a couple years back. So my wife is actually a wedding photographer, and she was spending so much time on Instagram, just constantly having to post, keep up with the Instagram algorithm so she wouldn't be punished. And
The
so
good husband.
I had heard about SEO and wanted to get into it, see what it was all about. So I took a few classes, dug deep, and soon realized that the boogeyman of the wedding creative industry is really not that scary. So learned that, with a little bit of effort, some consistency, can really have your website work for you as opposed to just, being a landing platform from Instagram.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, real quick question: did you ever charge your wife for your services? Or
I did some initial work, and then we decided that for the health of our marriage, it'd be better if she wasn't a client.
good call.
So I work in more of an advisory role at this point.
Yeah, that's a good call. So you're not sleeping on the couch right behind you there too. So,
Exactly.
dude,
Yeah,
I
I mean
love it.
we work 5 feet away from each other every day. We don't need the extra stress of working directly with each other.
Dude, good call. No, I love that. It sounds like you have really taken the time to invest into what SEO is and really dug deep into how it all actually works. So, yeah, I love that. So, why don't you just share a little bit about like what SEO actually is and really
Mhm.
how it could benefit just anybody in the creative industry who really don't know how to use SEO and like why it can really help elevate their business.
Yeah, absolutely. So it stands for search engine optimization, and it's basically taking Google's systems and processes, their algorithm, and giving them exactly what they want to see so that they can rank you effectively. So there's a few main parts. The biggest one is credibility, being a credible source of information. Google wants to know that you are an expert in your field. Uh, the next thing is making a good user experience, and that typically just comes down to download speed of your website, not using raw images on your website, but using web size, um, and really just setting yourself up so that Google knows that one, you're an expert, and two, that people are going to find value from your website, and it's going to be a good experience, so that when someone searches photographer near me, you can be a higher result as opposed to the competition in your area. The biggest benefit with SEO is that it is an evergreen strategy. So, excuse me. So once you put the work in, that work doesn't ever go away. So if you've moved up the rankings, as soon as you're at a certain point, you'll never really fall backwards. It's possible for people to leapfrog you if they do more of the work more consistently. But you can't really lose credibility with Google. So I know there is, we'll call it speculation, that if you're not consistently posting to Instagram, they're not going to push your content as much. With Google, that's not really how it works. Once you've built something, it's built to last and it stays. So instead of being on the everyday 3 times a week grind with Instagram, it's 2 hours once a week. You do that for a year, you're going to see some significant benefits, start getting inquiries from Google. And then if you keep it up over 2 years, Typically by that point, you'll have cracked the top 10 and you may not even need Instagram anymore. Um, it's it's a marketing tool that only takes time, doesn't really take money, and the amount of effort required is not crazy. I mean, really, 2 hours a week is more than enough.
Wow. Wow. That's kind of wild. I'm sure a lot of people like are honestly mind blown by that. It's not that huge of a time commitment. But
Right.
I'm sure the biggest challenge is understanding what they need to do in regards to like what they need to implement in their SEO strategy specifically for, their demographic and the clients they're trying to reach.
Yeah, it's there's some more work that has to be done in the beginning so that we're setting up the website to be where it needs to be. But the ongoing work is pretty straightforward. And there's a lot of great resources out there that are totally free. I know on Instagram, I always recommend to people they watch Catalina Jean's stuff. She's fantastic. If you don't follow her, please do. I put out a little bit of content for education purposes. So as far as setting up your website and writing blogs, you can get a lot of that information and know where to go. Um, and then, if you can have an expert look it over, make sure that, what you think you've done correctly is actually correct. You're usually a lot closer than you think you are.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. I mean, I think there's so much benefit in having that like second set of eyes on something, especially if SEO is brand new to you and you are trying to learn how it works. I think if you can get somebody like you to really look over, is the word like are the words that I'm putting in this blog are they working, or does it look right, or it's a strategy that I'm implementing, is it like the right strategy to utilize based on what I'm trying to achieve here? Like you can always test it yourself, but I think having that second set of eyes can be incredibly beneficial for ensuring that you are doing it right.
Yeah, and if for no other reason than just the confidence of it, so that when you go to spend that 2 hours a week, you're not questioning if it's a valuable 2 hours you're spending. You know that the time you're putting in is benefiting your business. That confidence, I mean, as far as being willing to do the work, is everything. If you're not sure that what you're doing is working, you're probably not going to do it.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah, confidence is kind of huge,
Right.
especially as a business owner, an entrepreneur. Like, there. I think that's one of the biggest challenge, honestly. One of the biggest challenges in owning a business and being an entrepreneur is being confident in what you are doing with your work. Like, is it actually working? And the hours that I'm putting in, is it going to make a difference? Am I doing it right? Is it going to, bring those inquiries as a wedding photographer, or in any type of realm of the industry that you're in? Yeah, if you don't have that confidence, it's going to be hard to even just put in the work at all.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like
I
having
mean,
yeah, go ahead.
you wear so many hats as a business owner,
Hmm.
and from the marketing aspect, a lot of people put all of their time towards social media, and that makes total sense. There's plenty of inquiries to be had from social media, but if you can get your SEO down the line where it needs to be, then that is a hat that you can take off and not have to focus on anymore, as your website does its job and drives traffic for you.
Yeah, yeah, I think because you were saying, there's that consistency in creating, consistent work with building your SEO ranking. But I
Mhm.
like you were talking about that word credibility, and I'm sure like getting your page to that first page is gives you so much credibility, like beyond
Oh
because
yeah.
what is what is the percentage of people that actually even go to the second page of Google searches when they're looking up something?
It's like 8%.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you're always going to have a few, type A's that when they're looking for a wedding photographer are going to, dig deep into the research.
Yeah.
But typically, I mean, they're going to narrow it down just from those top 10 down to two or three, and that's their pool.
Yeah.
So if
Wow.
the,
So just from like the Google searches, there's a potential you're missing out on 92% of, inquiries in that realm of
Right.
referrals, like
Right.
in that realm
Well,
of,
and the numbers, I mean, is as soon as you crack the top 30, you will actually start getting inquiries from Google. So typically, once we crack the top 30, clients are getting anywhere from 4 to 8 inquiries from Google a month,
wow.
which is a lot more than zero. Um, and
Right.
then, as soon as we crack the top 15, that takes another jump. And then once you crack the top 10, it's gravy train from there.
Right, right. And like you said, the amount of work that you have to put in at that point is just still just being consistent, but it's a lot less work than you actually have to even think about doing anymore. It's almost like you get to the point where you're like outsourcing work to Google for putting all that work in the meantime.
Right. And by that point it'll be part of your routine. And I mean, what is 2 hours on day 1 may only be an hour a year down the road because you're a lot more efficient at it. You know what you're doing. You're not second guessing. So I say 2 hours in the beginning, but down the road that time definitely goes down.
Yeah.
What would take a new photographer 2 hours for their SEO would probably take me right at about an hour. So it definitely gets easier. And then if you crack the top 3, then you're on autopilot. I mean,
you're
no,
you're
no
set.
reason to be working harder than that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like if you just imagine putting in that work over time and getting to that point, and just the feeling of like, someone searching for like your wedding photographer in your area, and you're in that top 3, and you're like, made it, I made
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, 100%. I mean, at that point, you better have a really good, uh, oh gosh, a CMS,
CRM,
custom, yeah, CRM, customer retention
really,
management. Gosh,
all the 3 letter.
still waking up. I'll claim still waking up on that one.
All good.
But yeah, you better have some good systems and processes in place at that point because you won't be able to keep up manually.
Yeah, and that's like a good problem to have, And then
It's the problem we all want to have. Yeah.
right, right. You're like, yeah, I want all the inquiries to be flown into my inbox, and at that point, then you're at the point in your career that you can be even selective of the weddings that you would like, and and
Right.
then also you can eventually like maybe build a team at that point because you can only take on so many. Then you can add, you're making so much money at that point, you can add an assistant to handle all the inquiries. Like, there's so much potential in growing your business, it sounds like, when you can get to that front page of Google because of your SEO ranking.
Right. No,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, that's wild. Wow. People, get onto that. Get onto your SEO. You need to learn this stuff. It's so good. But what I'm really excited about today's episode is that Joe is going to really dive into an area of SEO that is really just not something that's not really people really know about, and I think is incredibly valuable, especially if you want to add that credibility and to increase it for your SEO just in general. So, yeah, dude, I really would love to hear what you want to share with everyone today, and why it's important, what you need to do, all your little like hidden secrets and tips behind it. You don't have to give it all away, but anything that you would think would be valuable to share with everyone in regards to this area of SEO.
Yeah, absolutely. So no gatekeeping here. So like I
Love
said,
it.
there's a ton of information out there for beginners getting into their SEO. One of the areas that tends to be a little bit underserviced, in my opinion, is when it comes to garnering external links. So when it comes to SEO, there's 3 major types of links we talk about. The first is internal links. So those are the links that go from your website to your website. So like your call to action, take someone to your contact page. That's an
Okay.
internal link. The next is outbound links. So outbound links go from your website to another website entirely. So that could be, favorite venues or, preferred vendor lists. Those would take you to another business, another website completely. External links, the ones that I want to talk about today, those are links that go from someone else's website to your website. So they're basically someone else's outbound link, but it comes to you. So external links take time to build up. There's very few external links that we can just go and get for ourselves. And building up external links in other ways takes a good amount of time. So the ones we can do ourselves are any free index. I highly recommend anyone listening signs up for. So Yelp is a free index. Zola is a free index. They will both try to sell you on their upgraded, not free plans. I would recommend just avoiding those phone calls. And they're not really going to generate traffic from their website to yours. That's not really the purpose of signing up for those. It's just to get those external links. But those are free. Those two specifically, I recommend everyone goes and does immediately. But as far as getting more external links going into the future, especially for beginners, so a lot of folks will try to get their work published in publications, and that is a good way to get external links. But for beginners, we may not have the resume, the content to really get published. So I do have a couple ways for beginners to be able to get some external links going, because it's a little bit like your credit. The longer you carry a line of credit, the more benefit you're going to get from it on your credit score. The longer we carry these external links, the more benefit we get from them. So a couple ideas. First, for our beginner photographers, they are probably doing content shoots, content days, content retreats. And I recommend that you, one, ask the person hosting the retreat if they're going to write a blog about the retreat. And if they are, will they put you into the blog? You know, these were the attendees and here's their website.
Interesting. Yeah. Never even would have thought of that. Like,
and they won't all say yes. You know, it's not their job to give you an external link. But they want to have outbound links in their blogs too. So it makes sense for both parties. And the other thing I would do at content days is ask the other photographers there, are you going to be writing a blog about this content retreat? I will be, and I'm going to be doing outbound links to every other photographer here. And you know, you can go full quid pro quo, or just let it be known that you're going to be doing it. And if someone else does, fantastic. The other way for beginners that I would look at getting external links is through second shooting. So when you're second shooting a wedding, there's, you know, the full contracts and everything. I would ask on the front end, if you write a blog about, you know, this wedding that I'm second shooting for, would you include just at the bottom, second shooter with a link to my website? You know, if you second shoot 10 weddings, you may only get, you know, 2 external links from that, but 2 external links over the course of a couple of years is going to add up when you combine it with everything else you're doing to get external links. And they're very hard to get in the beginning, because it's mostly newer photographers who are focused on writing blogs and, you know, doing preferred vendors. You know, videographers don't really have to worry about external links, because anytime a photographer does a wedding with them and they write a blog, the videographer is getting featured. For photographers, it's a little bit tougher. So I always just recommend asking. There's no harm in that. Worst case, they say no.
It's true. It's true. I mean, there's always, like, you know, that fear of asking and being like, you know, it's an awkward situation, but really in the end, like, we're professionals in the industry, and, you know, we have to try to find ways to collaborate with other people and create those connections with other people. But I think there's, you know, especially for, you know, introverted people, you know, thankfully I don't have that problem. I'll ask anybody anything, and sometimes that could be an issue, but dude, you're so right on that point, though, that, like, you have to at least try. Like, there's no harm in trying to see if someone's willing to do that for you. And like you said, like the worst case scenario is they just say no, or that they're just not interested in doing that, or that's just not part of their practice, and that's okay. But like you said, like even if you get 2 out of 10, weddings that you second shoot for the year, that you get those external links happening, like that's still a win. You still got
Right.
something, and
Right.
there's no way you would have gotten that if you didn't at least try. So yeah, it's such a good point that you make there, even beyond like the concept of external links, that you really need to like put yourself out there and go for it in these areas of your business to make something happen, because if you're
Right.
just going to sit back and just hope for it, you're just going to hope. You're just going to hope
Right.
and sit there and hope for a
Right.
long time.
And I mean, I think 20% is probably like a low ball estimate.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like they're going to look at you and be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. And actually, you're not going to second shoot this wedding anymore. I mean,
Right,
that's
right.
never going to happen. So
Right, like
worst
you
case,
gotta put that aside.
yeah, worst case, they're just going to say, I don't really do that in my blogs. And you say, okay, great. And that's it.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, and that, like you said, like they're not going to take like offense to it or like feel any less of you. And if they do, then it's probably not the best person to work with, anyways. But
Right. Right.
but yeah, no, it's a good point. So yeah, so Joe is he's just talking about like take advantage if you're going to like any type of retreat or workshop, and just connect with these other photographers or vendors or whoever's going to be a part of them, because there's such value, first of all, in those networking connections, and second, it could lead to just a stronger SEO because you're asking them about making those external links happen. So dude,
Yeah. And I mean,
so good.
especially at content days, you're already going to be networking with the other photographers. There's plenty of downtime where, you're gabbing about your business and what you do. And, have
Yeah.
you considered this? And there's all kinds of business talk that happens. So, I mean, asking for the external link, you may really just be educating the other photographer on what external links are. And then you can both have that mutual benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, dude, that's so true. Yeah, so those are just such good strategies for those who are just starting out, because like you said, it's in order to get more profound external links, you have to have that credibility built. It takes time, just like with SEO in general. It takes time to be able to get to that point of like being featured in like magazines or like online articles or any of those areas. You can't just
Right.
expect it like your first like year or two of weddings that you're going to be featured in like Vogue magazine. If you do, then you tell me that you did that, and I will be utterly impressed.
Yeah.
you know, you
Yeah.
know, like maybe you're related to a celebrity and it just happened, but yeah, it is it's a long game, is what I'm gathering from what you're saying, that it takes time and you have to be consistent.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So go ahead. Yeah.
and I don't want to like get down on getting published. There's plenty of smaller publications that you can definitely get published with. I mean, any small blog that is about the wedding industry, if you put together text that tells the story of a day and send them images, that is less text that they have to write for one of their blogs. And typically they're pretty stoked about that. So that is another successful way to get external links. It's just one that a lot of people know about. So these were some alternative ideas. But if you're doing submissions, keep doing submissions. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. There's no harm in trying, right?
Right.
And like I said, if it doesn't happen, we just keep going for it. And if it does, great, and still keep going for it, right?
Right. Right.
You gotta keep trying for it. Dude, that's all. That's all so good. So let me ask you this then: what type of piece of advice would you give to newer photographers who are really trying to dive into the world of SEO, to really figure out like what first steps should I be taking to really just build it, in order to eventually get into an area where it's consistent and good and it's going to eventually rank? Like how would you recommend they start?
Yeah, so there's three things I would do right off the bat. First, set up a Google Business Profile for your business if you don't have one. So Google Business Profile, Google says that it doesn't matter if you have one or not, but it's their platform, Like, of course it matters. So definitely get that set up. Next thing would be getting to 1,000 words of text on your homepage. I know that sounds like a lot, and it's not something you have to do all at once. I mean, 100 words here, 100 words there. Discuss your process, discuss the experience of working with you. There's all kinds of ways that you can add more text. And I mean, as far as like, headers, like general ideas, if you go look at some photographers' websites that you respect those photographers, you can get some ideas of what subjects to discuss. Obviously, don't copy exactly what they're saying, but
Right.
you can get the subject at least. And then the next thing, if you're not writing blogs, start writing blogs. It is really the only way to improve your SEO after you do those base level optimizations. I mean, there's two major types of blogs. There's education blogs, and then there's session blogs. If nothing else, do session blogs. Tell the story of the day, of what happened. That can be, styled shoots, engagements, weddings, whatever your business does, and just tell the story of what happened. And even if you're not, 100% on what your header should be, what your URL, the titles, all of those little parts that go into writing the blog. There's great resources out there for that. I have, a blog cheat sheet on my Instagram. There's plenty of content creators that have similar pieces of education, and use those until you really feel comfortable writing blogs. But even if you're not hitting, every step of those blogs, start getting some content out there, because it's only going to benefit you.
Absolutely. No, dude, thank you for sharing that. That's it's all good stuff. And it really is all, things that you can definitely do when you're getting started off, or even if like you're in your first couple years of business. I feel like, if you're not doing that now, start writing those blogs. So would you say that like there is a good percentage of, people in the wedding industry, especially photographers, that don't blog?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And most of them, when they come to work with me, they know they needed to be doing it. But it was just one hat too many kind of deal. Or, they consistently tell themselves, well, slow season's coming. I'll do it during the slow season.
Love
I mean,
to hear that, huh?
how many things have you put off until slow season? And with blogging, I totally get it. I mean, it seems like it's going to be disastrous. I mean, just so much work. But really, 1 to 2 hours a week. And the earlier you start, the sooner you'll start seeing results. And I know people say that about everything. But with SEO, if you were to write blogs during your slow season, let's call it January and February, and you were to write blogs for those 8 weeks, 2 blogs a week every week, the benefit to your SEO that you achieve in those 2 months never goes away. So even if you don't write another blog until the following January, you've still done something that's going to benefit your business. And then you're going to do it again the next year. So ideally, you'd be writing a blog a week, every week, the whole year. But even if you can only commit during the slow season, you're still going to see the benefit to your business.
No, that's such a good point. Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't even think about the idea that, like, yeah, even if it's just during your slow season, like, it's still doing something for your business and for your SEO. Yeah. But you definitely recommend to do it at least once a week for the entire year. Yeah, because you're really talking like an hour a week. If you really could just consistently set aside, like maybe Thursdays at 1 o'clock, you work on your blog every week. That time is set aside for that specifically. Yeah, it sounds like you definitely recommend to do that.
100%. And I mean, if you're truly a beginner and you don't have enough sessions to write 52 blogs a year, then start thinking about what venues would be a dream venue, or what areas would be, your favorite place to shoot an engagement session. and write a blog about that. You don't have to have done it. A quick Google search is going to give you all the details you need about a venue to be able to speak to it. So if you don't have 52 sessions to blog about, that's fine. Start dreaming. Think about, where you would love to be in a couple years and start writing blogs about that.
No, dude, that's such a good point. Yeah, because I'm sure there's a lot of newer photographers that would worry, like, I only do maybe 5 to 8 weddings a year, and I only do so many sessions. But there is so much other content that they can push out that's attached to their name that they can create in order to increase their SEO ranking. Yeah, yeah, dude,
Yeah, and if you don't know what else to write about, again, go look at those titans of the industry. Go look at their blogs, just the titles, see the types of topics they're discussing, and that should give you more than enough of an idea. Even if like Catalina Jean, she's in Seattle. Uh, you may be based in Florida. You can still go to her website and see what her blogs are typically about to know, okay, I can translate that into what I'm discussing over here.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not like it's, state specific or city specific in regards to like the ability of what you need to do, It's
Right.
like obviously you got to be specific with your content, but it's not like, I have to do SEO different in Florida than I do in Seattle.
Yeah. Yeah. The markets are going to be different, and the
Right.
style is going to be different, but it doesn't really affect what we're trying to do.
Right, right. Wow. Dude, such good stuff, man. Such good stuff. Like, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for
So
having me.
yeah, dude. So I mean, so everyone listening, listen. If you really need some guidance and you need some support in the world of SEO, Joe's been talking about that he has a lot of really great free resources on the site. But if you really need some in-depth support and you need that next set of eyes to really help you out, I definitely encourage you to reach out to Joe to really just get that SEO up and running, because he's here to help you out and make things happen and really just give you those steps and map out what you need to do to ensure that your SEO strategy is ready to go and ready to implement into making your business, more just that ranking increase in Google. And it's going to make a huge difference for your business if that's something that you want to do. So I just have one more question for you I'd like to ask is, besides when you're working in the SEO world, right, what do you like to just do on your free time?
Yeah. So my wife and I moved out to Utah about a year and a half ago.
Oh,
Uh,
dude, nice.
Yep. Yep. And
Wow.
we definitely moved here for the mountains. So recently
Wow.
it's been a lot of skiing.
Oh, man.
Body's a little abused at this point. We're getting pretty late in the season. But soon we'll be transitioning over to hiking, and our buddies here are trying to get us into mountain biking, which we're a little nervous about. But
That
it's
sounds sweet, though.
the rocks are a lot less soft than the snow. So
If you have any common sense, you definitely can agree with that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
dude. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. Yeah.
yeah.
A little jealous. I mean, I live in Western New York, and usually we have decent amount of snow, and I personally haven't been able to get out this year at all. So,
Oh
uh,
dang.
yeah. But dude, I've heard like the Utah skiing is just incredible.
It's the greatest powder in the world.
Wow. Wow. Gotta convince my wife to come out. She'll just sit by the fireplace, which is fine. But
There's
I,
nothing like the hot tub in the mountains.
uh, I listen. I think I need you to have a conversation with my wife, because I think you can persuade her. But dude, that's awesome. It sounds like you need to really just enjoy the outdoors and taking advantage of the beauty of that Utah brings. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
awesome, man. Cool. Yeah, dude. Thanks for sharing that. And then lastly, I know that I said that was my last question. So
No
not fully
worries.
truthful, but where can we find you and connect with you? And if anybody's interested in wanting to reach out to you for your services, where can we find you for that?
Yeah, so my website is seobyjoe.net. So I always do free consultations. where we'll go through your entire website, your Google Business Profile. I'll give you my notes on what I would correct if I were you, and then what it would look like to work with me on a month-to-month basis. For the DIYers, goodness. I also have a SEO for beginners course online that kind of takes you through all those same things. So if you want to do it yourself, I have that option. If you want me to help guide you through it, then I do one-on-one with anybody that's interested.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. And it's great that you have like those different options that you can provide, you know,
Yeah.
anyone with time.
Class is relatively new, but had the initial launch and that went well, and people are loving it. So very
Congrats
excited
on
to be
that.
able to bring that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, and I think it's nice that you have so many different options for people to be able to learn more about SEO and just to dive in and I think personally I always think that outsourcing this type of stuff to have somebody really support and help you out if you have the money to invest in it. I definitely recommend it. So yeah. So reach out to Joe if you need that SEO help. You won't be
Absolutely.
disappointed. Yeah, and and I would definitely encourage you just to connect with him and follow him on Instagram. He puts out a lot of really great content, just some tips for you and guidance for you in different areas of SEO. So follow him. It's SEO by Joe LLC, right?
Perfect.
For
Yes, sir.
Instagram. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Joe, dude, thank you so much for being on this episode and just sharing all the good stuff about SEO, especially in the area of external links. And we just appreciate all your insight. And I hope that people really take advantage of reaching out to you for their SEO needs.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, awesome, man.